Welcome to the Church Resource, where we talk about the best resources for pastors, leaders, and lay people. I'm your host, Jeff Oliver, and we are looking today at a book called Make or Break Your Church in 365 Days. That is a bold statement for a title, but I want to help you kind of work through this. This is really, I say for pastors, leaders, lay people, this is really kind of just for pastors. Maybe other leaders in the church, but this is kind of the senior pastor level thoughts. And so if you are one, you might pick this up, and if you're not one, you might buy this for your pastor. But this is, I think, a thorough book on how to lead your church. In fact, the subtitle is A Daily Guide to Leading Effective Change. Now, Paul Borden is the author here, and I will just tell you some of the chapter titles to give you an indication of what he's referring to, what he's focusing on in this book. As he begins the book with a chapter on leadership, it's called Credibility and Competence, and why you would need to think about leadership. If you are not necessarily naturally a leader, you know, the things that you might need to work on, things that you would need to have as considerations in the back of your mind about the ways that people expect to be led, and the things that are effective for good leadership within, especially in the church setting. So how we go about doing that, why we do that, and then how to get from where you are to where you'd like to be in terms of leadership within your church. And so he talks about the mission of a church, what a church ought to be as its place in the community and the lives of the people who attend and members of that church. So he has a short chapter on really ecclesiology, what your church ought to look like, how you ought to operate. And then he goes into the chapter called 365 Days and Counting. This would be kind of an idea of getting your church from point A to point B in 1 year, and how you want to lead that church for, as it says, effective change, what we're going to do to accomplish that. And then Borden, it's almost, I was going to say minute by minute, it's really hour by hour, what you ought to be doing every single day of the week. And he starts with Monday. And he calls it Transition Day. We are talking about before the office opens, you're going to meet with somebody for breakfast, a key person in the church, maybe a new family or a business leader in your community and church. And so you're going to meet with them before you even hit the office. So it might be 6:30, 7 o'clock that you're going to do this. And this would be Borden's idea of how you should start your day, how you should start your week in meeting with someone there, and then getting into the office, finishing up from Sunday's work, anything that you feel like needs to be done from that day, maybe to reach out to visitors, maybe it's to answer any questions people had about the sermon or about anything that any questions that somebody had about events going on in the church or their own participation in that, or anything that you need to finish up from questions that you received on Monday or Sunday, and then anything that you think needs to be addressed that you noticed as some points of interest for you on Sunday. Any of that needs to be finished up, and then to organize and plan your week and to look at that. And then he goes to the next chapter, Tuesday, Preparation Day, and talking about your study and how you would go about doing that, how you would make some community connections throughout that day. And then he goes to the things that you might do in the evening, how to arrange things so that you've got the most effective things done by the first part of that week, so that you can spend much of the rest of the week in study and preparation for other Bible studies and sermon that you are preparing for on Sunday, and even for sermon series and how you're going to chart those out and map those for the next month or months, whatever you want to do about that. Wednesday, of course, we're looking at getting ready for Wednesday evening services, but also when to hold lunches with people, when to meet people for lunch meetings, and how to organize and structure your Wednesday afternoons so that you're ready for Wednesday night. And he really, again, just goes day by day. He does build in some family time. It's again, as you might imagine, very structured, and it's going to be, exactly this many hours for some family time, and then to hold Friday for yourself as a day off if you can do that. He says, in fact, the chapter for Friday is called Boundary Day. We need to set some boundaries in our life so that we are not distracted from a family time that we might have. And then what to do with your Saturday. That's always been a kind of an odd day because most of the people in your church are off. You are not really off. It's a work day for you. If you've taken Friday off, it should be. And so what are you supposed to do that day? Even, kids are out of school. Your kids might be out of school, and very likely they are. And so what do you do with that Saturday to redeem that time? I really appreciate Borden's perspective on this and making sure that we're effective in the way that we spend our time, especially as the lead pastor, senior pastor of a church. I just wonder if it's just too much in terms of in the structured, very regimented times that he's giving here, and to make sure that every one of these elements is planned into your day. So I think to look at this and make it work for you. Of course, I think most people could use a help on how to structure your time, how to organize that best to be most effective. And so it provides the calendar, would provide some accountability here in doing that. I just think it might be a little heavy in the way that Borden addresses that. So again, I think it's key that he does build in some time for you to be alone, yes, with devotional time, with just kind of time for you to relax. That is key in a week. Also for you to have time to be with your family, with your wife and children, whoever's important to you in your life, that you would have that time as well, and make sure that you make a definite time for them to spend some time with you. So I just think it's a good book. I think it'd be a good guide. I would probably advise against doing every single thing in putting this exactly like it's presented in the book on your calendar. So with that caveat, I would say good information in here. Just do it wisely. Do what kind of works within your family and your schedule. So it is one book that is on my shelf that's been helpful to me in my ministry, and I hope it gives you a bit of direction as you prayerfully consider which resources will best help you and the people you minister to. Thanks for listening to the Church Resource. Please make sure you give us a review, and if you have any suggestions of resources that you would like us to look at, email us at thechurchresource@gmail.com. That's thechurchresource@gmail.com.